said the Busy Builder is now live, streaming miniatures.
That was strange. Hey, Frank. Okay. That hood would have come in useful on other projects. Hey, Alex. Why are you still awake? So we're going to mess around with the Verlinden set. Wrong tool, but I will need that in a sec. Boo. Boo. So like I said, I've got the Verlinden detail set, and I'll go over the parts for that here in a sec. We're going to be replacing this whole section. You have a life. It's just going through a bump is all. 2.5 years ago, I went through a similar life bump. I came out all right. Okay. So, this is... Hey, Steven. This kit is designed for Italy's first production run Humvees. Turn this down so I can hear myself think. So, anything else want to fall out? Good lord. So in this kit, you actually get 3 other sets. You get Humvee wheels. We don't need those just yet. Oh, that's why everything fell out. Yes, you will. You will or I'll kill you! No, you get the NATO radio set and a general detail set, which comes with correct 3-hole bumper, like we were talking about on the past stream. Better seats. Remember how I had to scratch build that one seat frame? Here it is. Radio shelf. If I wanted to put the weighting exhaust on it, I could put the actual mesh screen around it, and it comes with a more appropriately detailed pipe and the bracket for attaching it. But here's the real kicker. Yeah. These go on here. So they go through here to recreate those oval-shaped holes that you saw. So I'm going to have to sand off these rivets, but that's fine. Larry later tooled up a new Humvee kit. It was still an early version, but that kit had those holes there, the 3-hole bumper, and the vent right there. So it incorporated some detail improvements. Inside, still pretty much the same. This one I actually put a different radio set and roof set on. So it's got some stuff inside. Not that we can really see it. But this is if you have the early one and you want to bring it up to spec. Like it also includes for the tailgate the AM General logo for inside the recessed area here. And then one piece we'll need is this piece, which replaces that part to replicate that vent. So what I wanted to do first is cleanly get this off there and then use it to mark this one properly to cut it. I may have to do some rescribing. Now it looks like you could just snap this off, but the problem is the part is thinner than the resin supporting it, so you could snap the part further up than you need and risk damaging it. That's why little hobby saws like this are very important. You just gotta cut slowly and make sure you stay below the part through the casting lug that's on the part. Another thing you got to be careful of when doing this is you could easily cut up into the part or otherwise damage it. Okay, that came off clean. Good. Sandpaper, you were right here. There it is. And I just remembered how god-awful Verlinden resin smells, but sometimes they're the only ones that make the stuff that you need.
Kinsella just followed.
Kinsella, thank you for the follow. You'll have to wait just a few moments to talk on Kick. We do have a 6-minute grace period. Okay, so that matches up perfectly outside of that recessed line. Which means that's not good. Let's see if I can be careful about this. I don't want to use the razor saw to cut through the line, but I do need to separate this shelf right here, because that is going to make the next step a little more difficult. So what I'm going to try and do, trying being the operative word here, is I want to score it just on that side of that recessed line and see if I can get it to pop right there.
At Leo 2A7DK said, I know you love the original ones, but they must have souped up the engines quite a bit on later ones. Extra armor, paint thick glass, turrets with M2 and javelins on the back. Oh my.
Well, that's the thing. The original ones, the engine they had originally was the 6.2 liter. And I'm going to speak in very generalized terms here, you know, nothing too particularly technical. But basically it was a gutless diesel that GM put in their trucks and cars back in the 80s. At least in the civilian market. With a modified TH350, TH400 style transmission. It was enough to get the job done, right? Later on, with the advent of the Duramax and other newer Chevrolet engines, I think I got it, they installed that with the 6L80 transmission, which did give it a little bit more power, and it gave it an overdrive in the transmission, which helped with highway speeds and overall cruising. As they entered into making the 1114 and the 1151 series and all those up-armored Humvees, you'll notice some of them have the grille like this, just like the classic style. Then others, the grille sticks out about, I don't know, about 8 inches roughly, because they had to move everything forward so they could move the engine forward to fit the turbo for the turbo diesel, which did supply more power, but it was still underpowered given what they were trying to do with it. Okay. So before I glue that on, let me sand off the rivets here. This little notch piece that you see molded in right there, that can stay. But these rivets have to go if I want to get that Photoetch to sit right. The dilemma I have is when I get my real one, which will hopefully be something I can achieve. Yep, that's why it sticks out. Unfortunately, I might be limited on what I can get, at least where I'm living right now. Because any diesel 1997 or older, I don't have to go through emissions for it. Now, I could luck out and get one of the earlier 6.5s, or yeah, the 6.5 with the 6L80 transmission, which would be fine. I honestly don't want a turbo one, to be honest. The 6.5 with the better transmission would be preferable, but depending on when it was made, it could still have a 6.2. But honestly, all I care is that it's running. part of me is half tempted to sell the Camaro right now. It would probably sell by the time I sold the Camaro, which means I wouldn't be able to get it. But there's one for sale down in Price, Utah for $9,500. It's a 95 with the right setup that I want. And if I sold the Camaro for what I could get for it, I could go get it. And even Jen's like, "No, you put a lot of work into it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but at the same time, once I get it, I think I might not be driving that as much." Which would be fine, because it would allow me time to put the Camaro down, but what if I wind up just saying, "You know what? I'd rather just put the money into the Humvee." Which I have wanted far longer. And had I thought about it before I got the Camaro, I'd probably be driving one right now. Had I used my brain a bit more. So, but enough, you know, crapping on myself. Yeah, let's let that hold itself. There. So on this, all we have to do is sand off the rivets. And I know I should have finished the ambulance one first, but I really felt like working on something same but different. And this will be a shorter stream. I just felt like tinkering, getting on here with you guys. But everyone's always, "Oh, you don't want that one. You don't want the one with the 6.2, it'll be slow." I'm like, I really don't care.
At Leo 2 A7DK said, "Like your models. I would hate to sell some of your models. If you are there, I would also say, what? Sell your Camaro. But if you are on the same page with the cars, look for the HMMWV."
Well, part of what kind of hurts is I went through a lot of shit trying to get the Camaro's engine rebuilt, and that kind of it took my energy for it out. And with what I have to do to work on it, like the next steps, I have to take it out of commission. So either way, I need something to drive. And I'm just trying to do the math in my head. And even my wife's like, "You don't want to do that yet. Get the Humvee first." And I keep having what-if moments. You know, self-doubt, all that kind of crap. And I just want to make a good decision. Doesn't always have to be the right decision, but a good one. But either way, I need to get at least $8,000 to $9,000, so... We're going to throw this on the tailgate real quick. Yeah, this comes with a lot of nice stuff on it, though. Radio racks. Looks like some bumper stuff. It's got the option for the regular, or for the... wow, I can't talk today. the bumper with the winch. And it also gives me the more updated mirror mounts. So not only does this kit, this set, add a lot of missing detail, it also acts to bridge the generations, because a lot of the ones I've been making have all been I want to say 92, 93 versions of the vehicle, where they had the smaller square mirrors, the smaller seats, things like that. And this starts to bring it around to what you were starting to see the end of the first Gulf War. Tweezers. Where did my tweezers go? We're still doing Figure Friday though, so we're gonna work on this little lady on Friday. I just had to paint her shirt and helmet to make sure I had the right gray color. Gray-green color. But look at that. Oh, come on, autofocus. Work with us here today. No? I think I broke my camera. Thank you for the donation. Thank you very much.
Stupid from Denmark tipped $30. Wow. Then we are back at this again. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it for now because it's my only means of getting to and from work. And yeah, we'll wait and see till after I get it. And I hope I don't sound wishy-washy or repetitive, but it's what's on my mind about it. I'm just trying to figure out, going through it. I am selling some models, but that is to help fund this, and I expect to get about $3 grand from that. Actually gonna message the buyer probably tomorrow and see what's going on there, which ones he wants to get first. So that just fits in there. I'm trying to remember if the real vehicle, that's a rivet on panel or not. If it's not, if it's just embossed, I'm gonna run some Mr. Surfacer around the edge and just let that blend in and clean it up with a Q-tip. That way it'll kind of blend in the detail. We won't have that hard edge around it. What the fuck was that? Oh, hi, Allie. Just felt the desk shake. No, Allie, there's parts in there. Not yet. Not yet. Come here. Come here, princess. Come here. I got you. I got you. Let me empty out the box. Let me empty it, and you can have it. Oh, so impatient, girl. There you go. There you go. Yep, all yours. Hi. Hi. Oh, Frankie chased you down here. Is that why? Huh? Hi, pretty girl. Yeah. There you go. No, I was trying to look up a picture of the tailgate to make sure that I'm seeing things right. And of course, it's a later one that doesn't have the AM General plate. Yeah, it's a riveted plate. Bazcoon4, thank you for the follow. Yep, there is a 6-minute time limit on there. Okay, I'm gonna run some Mr. Surfacer around there anyway, just to see what it is, what it's like, and if I need to, I can adjust it. Actually, this is thinned already. No, I need it thicker. Allie, you're not helping with the tail swiping right now. So I'm gonna, once this all dries, I'm gonna go back over with a Q-tip it's been soaked in lacquer thinner and just clean it up. Probably re-expose the brass, but I want to make sure that I've gotten a filling layer around the seam, and there's a hole in the part, in the Photoetch part, that shouldn't be there. Right there by the L.
Said a good run through of Mr. Surfacer is never a bad thing.
No, it isn't. There we go. So that may look thick and sloppy, but that's how we like it. Wait a minute. Maybe I need to paint more carbon fiber soon so I can make more buying used pantyhose jokes. I'm surprised nobody clipped that. Allie, your fur's tickling my nose. But you're a good girl. Yeah. Let's get you tucked in. There you go. Okay. I want to check the fit. Make sure I didn't throw anything off too far. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to order the Bronco 1114 Humvee. Oh yeah, that's perfect. And we'll do that one full ruffle. All doors, hatches, and hood open. It does come with... Good God. It does come with a basic engine bay. And it helps fill a gap because we need to keep building these, you know. So when before I glue these on, I need to sand down these ejector pin marks, but I got to be careful of right here. And then once I get the tailgate and both sides on, there's a panel here and here that need to get glued on. So let's see how proud these are. Helps if I pick up the correct tool. See if I can reduce some of the sanding. And I am going to need to take a trip and get some supplies tomorrow afternoon. After work. Because I am out of X-Acto blades. Another thing you'll notice, and you can tell whether you've got... That's fine, George. It's one of my unexpected streams. Nobody expects the busy Inquisition. That's okay. We all have our followers. But, yeah, so tomorrow after work, probably going to stop off, get some needed supplies like X-Acto knives. I think I need to order some paints though. The local shop isn't very good at stocking Tamiya. Hobby Lobby doesn't carry a lot of the more specialized colors I need.
7629 said could have expected the Humvee red.
Of course. Friday we won't have the Humvee though. Friday we are painting this little Tacticool character. It's a fan art of one of the characters from the anime Gate. The one that's always beating the shit out of people. That's what happens when the modern military goes into a fantasy world. Okay. There's a bit of a recess there. I just felt like doing something like this today. I do have to say, for the Verlinden wheels being one of the first update sets made, they're not terrible. They're not as good as what Panzer Art or DEF are making.
Georgia Davis 7629 said okay. They'll catch you the next stream after the next one.
Yeah, I'll be on Friday. But the tread pattern is mostly okay. I almost want to say it feels like they just made castings of the Academy tires, honestly. Actually, let's find out. They updated the rim, but they just made castings of the Academy tire. Yeah. Which was common practice back then. Same diameter, same tread depth. And the way I can tell that is on more modern ones, like these DEF ones.
Georgia Davis 7629
Yeah.
said
The rim is much more defined. You've got your air inlet hole right there.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said some of them aren't even circular.
I've run into that before. But you see how clearly defined that center hub and everything is? That, not so much.
VO2A7DK said
But look at the depth in the tread and the better. But the tread looks more defined and more in scale. But honestly, it's not terrible. I've seen a lot worse. So we'll live with it. It's acceptable. But I will be ordering the mini art set this week as well. Or not the mini art set, the either DEF or Panzer art. Because I got some in my my brain's just not working today. Am I having a stroke? If you don't see me on Friday, you'll know. No, Panzer Art or DEF. Both are equally good sets.
Georgia Davis 7629 said never mind the truck, the other tires have the Goodyear logo.
That too, and I think that was another giveaway that these were the Academy ones, is they don't have the Goodyear logo. I don't care as much about that though. It's more like a visual representation of it. Make sure it looks right. And let me throw one of these together real quick and you'll see how they just do not look right. And yes, I know, I just did a cardinal sin. I tore the parts off the sprue. I'm not using them, so that's okay. So I'm going to use the Academy tire since it's handy. I already put the others away. Academy, mostly acceptable tread. Rim's okay. I don't like that the hub sticks out. The hell is that? And these don't even have Goodyear, they have ooh. Come on, autofocus. Autofocus is being autofocused today. Yeah.
207DK said I know this is the Chevy Chase line, but maybe it was a bad year. Not a good year.
Possibly. Hey, did anyone ever notice in Fletch, Chevy Chase is wearing Brett's hat from Alien? I'm just reinforcing the back of this until we get everything glued together. So yeah, the guy that goes into the landing gear room and gets dragged up by the chains, the hat he's wearing.
Georgia Davis 7629 said down. Make a model Humvee, but PK someone got it from Tony.
Oh, that's the weird thing. This is Italerry's first one, which it's actually not very wrong. How can I explain this? This model was tooled up based on prototype Humvee images and designs. This wasn't based on the full production vehicle. This one, which is marketed as the Commando version, is based on production designs and images. And it shows it. This is Italerry's second tool-up. It's got all the recessed marks down here, the vent, the proper unarmored grill recess, where if you look on this, it's got the armored grill for the radiator. So, and the AM General embossed in the back. This is based on the prototype. The only thing they really didn't put on it was the embossed AM General. So if you're doing, say, the Tamiya Bushmaster like the model student was, the only thing you would really want to add to that kit, if you're going to be that picky about it, which I'm going to be, is the AM General logo and a good set of Wrangler tires. Outside of that, everything else in the kit is correct. I have a picture of it with the 4-hole bumper. It didn't have the vent. It didn't have the dimples in the sides. It was a prototype chassis, which is what Italerry based this particular kit on. So it's not inherently wrong, but at the same time, if you're looking to build a correct one, it depends on your idea of correct, and if you're wanting a production or prototype vehicle. But if you want to see a terrible Humvee kit, look up the Essie kit, or Essie, however you want to pronounce it, and take a look at its hood. Oh shit, those are those Photoetch wiper blades? They are. I always found the kit wiper blades to actually be adequate, so I'm not going to bother with those. But I can't lose these mirror supports. Get you off there. You off there. There you go. I'm not going to throw them out just yet. Might be able to use them somehow. Okay. Sandpaper. But I know I'm kind of all over the place on these Humvee builds in terms of the ones I'm building and the amount of detailing I'm putting into each one.
Lear 2A7DK said these are the nice messages from somehow who knows. Half part of why I am here. You know the other part.
Because you like to see me and my used pantyhose. I'm trying to sand down all these nubs from where I trimmed it. But this Verlinden set is actually a much older set. But I'm surprised at the quality of it overall. Could it be better? Yeah, you can look at anything and pick it apart if you really want to. But for my purposes and for what I want, it works. No, but what I was going to say is another way to tell if you have an older generation or... Jeez. The seat belts. If you look on a lot of newer Humvees with the soft tops, you'll see they have the shortened top where this back part isn't on and it goes down this way, but then you'll see two canvas covered lumps on the sides. That's because those are covering the seat belt retraction mechanisms. Hey, model student. Yeah, we're working with this Verlinden update set. We're just going over the wheels and stuff, how they're acceptable, but they're a copy of the Academy wheels. Alright, so...
FB model student 20 said, hey George.
Are these meant to just be a stencil? No, you glue them. What accent? I don't have an accent, you have an accent. Well, I know I don't drive a Honda accent. Okay. Now we have a conundrum. Because they made this shorter so you could glue it over the rivets, but that's not correct. They tried making it so you didn't have to take off the rivet detail. So I want to get it lined up as best as possible.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said American but like oddly Canadian.
How? Probably because I've lived in a lot of places. So we're gonna get creative here in a minute. Not really, we're not talking like Minecraft creative mode kind of stuff. But yeah, these panels are slightly undersized, which I'd remembered reading about that back in the 90s when this came out, but didn't know better. Wait a minute, what?
Leo2A7DK said, "Hey George, welcome to some fun stuff."
The model student is now traitor to channel. He has forgone the Humvee and the ways of the Humvee, and he has gotten a Gaz Tiger, the Russian SUV. This might be beneficial though, because lining this edge up better makes it disappear, and then I can just put a small skin of putty along here and sand that down and blend it, feather it in.
Said, repent. Hi, hi.
Hi, hi. But yes, the model student has forsaken the ways of the Humvee.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said, reminds me, what's a good hoodie kit builder?
Depends on what you're looking for. Like I was saying, the Tamiya kit with a set of Panzer Art or DEF resin wheels, damn near perfect out of the box, because it was based on a prototype vehicle. There's nothing to really add. The Academy 1151's good. The wheels in it are acceptable for plastic, but it's up to you if you want to update them to a resin one. Any of the Academy Humvee kits build up pretty well out of the box. One I'd like to find, but I can't find it anywhere. Academy released it back in the early 2000s, like 5 or 6. It was the Hillbilly gun truck. So it has, it's the 998, but with added armor panels and more weapons in the back and a lot of other little things. They call it the IED Humvee for some weird reason. But any of the newer ones are really good. The Bronco kit's good. Tamiya's are good, just I'd replace their wheels just because of the fact the time I built it, they dry rotted off in less than a year.
Kay said, a rare thought hit me. Have you had any contact with a 1/16th mag?
You had to ask that, didn't you?
At P-Model Student 20 said, this gas kit come with resin wheel.
Nice. So for Leo, yes, I have had contact with it. I have the Toro version upstairs in my kitchen because I'm going through it, replacing the electronics, and I'm giving it the NATO 3-color scheme. And I just need a radio set for it.
Davis 7620
I've already fit new suspension on it.
Get a Bronco public now you mentioned.
But yeah, I fit the new, a better suspension. I shouldn't say new. But I stole the leaf spring setup from a WPL 6x6 and put it on it. So, as far as the trumpeter kit, no, but I do have one.
Leo2A7DK said, DKK.
But don't waste your money on it if you want an RC one, because it runs terribly out of the box. It's got a lot of neat little lights and gadgets, and then the electrics will fail on you quicker than a fart in the wind. Which is why I'm currently redoing mine, because the electrics failed on it within like a week of having it. And I was just driving it around inside the house trying to get a feel for it. Okay. Ow. So... just drying the accelerator off of it. Yeah, Mr. Surfacer is a bit too thin for this next part. But I need to skin that in. Because you can see how that was just too short. They're not a perfect representation, but they'll work for me.
Student 20 said, I saw that fuel truck today. I was tempted but decided on the 1151 first. Maybe MXT. No.
I don't know. I would have gone for the fuel truck, man. See, there's a reason I'm doing all these. Yeah, once that's sanded down and blended in, that should look really good. It just won't have rivets, but if you look on the real thing, if you're standing far enough away for it to look like it's 35th scale, you're not really going to notice it. Unless some rabid rivet counter comes in. But this is also an example of how we had to make do with what we had back then. The 90s were kind of a dark time when it came to stuff like this, because no internet, no real internet, until, after 96. So all we had was books and magazines, and then we'd see, oh, Verlinden's released this, and you could see it for sale in Squadron or something. Yeah, that'll look pretty good. Mr. Surface on those. But the next fun part's coming up. We gotta cut the grill out of this puppy. It wasn't unusual to see the armored hood on a soft top, but it wasn't very common either. Oop. Drop. Well, the thing is, what I mean by that is you had, like, publications that would come out, like the kit would come out, and then you'd start working on it, not knowing what's up with it. There is that. So then as you're building the model, you realize, crap, I have to tear half of it apart because it's wrong, if you cared about that. But yeah, about 6 months to a year after the model releases, then you'd get the Squadron Signal book or the Verlinden Crosshairs book or whatever they were called. The special publication book would finally come out. Like the Humvee and its models have been out for years, right? And Squadron hadn't even released their walk-around book till 93, I think it was. I was sitting next to the editor at the 93 Nationals in Atlanta, talking to him about it. I was having dinner with him. And yeah. Let's see how this turned out. Q-tip. Okay. And all this did was to take the edge off the Photoetch part a little bit. The way I'm blending it with putty on these. Kind of the same idea here. Remove the excess, and it just leaves the putty around the plate, filling the gap.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said Terry's more than one person into honeybees.
Well, who else is there? Because I haven't met them. My thing is, this has been a 40-year dream, and I'm doing my damnedest to make it come true by getting a real one. So yeah, when that's finally painted, that's essentially filled in the slight gap between the Photoetch part and the plastic part. What, you thought I was the only one? Sometimes it feels like it.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said you looks nice.
I'm still debating on what to do with it ultimately. I don't know if I want to do it as the fictional Stinger version or fit it out more just like a few guys are living in it and fighting out of it. Because it's essentially the same as the cargo version, just without the stake bed in the top. I need to see something before I begin cutting this out. Okay, looks the same size.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said you reminded me, I need to buy a boost tickets.
I went to the Phoenix Nationals back in 19, and I was honestly disappointed. I didn't enter anything. I just went down because my father lived down there at the time, and it was just it was a good visit with him. Went and saw the show, bought some models, worked on models at his place. Had a nice few days off work. So this grill sits mostly flush with the surface. So I'm cutting out the center portion that'll normally be open. And then I'm going to shave this off and try and countersink it, but probably not. But at least shave it off.
7DK said I still buy hard copy reference books. Old user. The last one was Marvel Forward Focus Editing Chapter 2 A7DK by Thomas
Well,
Hudson.
what I'm happy for
Check out his Christian Fitcherson. On your head. Nice.
is there's still enough want and need for hard copy books. Because if I try and take the entire grill off around the outside edge, there would be nothing left here. Well, George said I sounded Canadian. But American. Well, that, and lately I've noticed there's a lot of celebrity modelers. I mean, there always has been. You always had your Shep Paynes and your Francois Verlindens and your, who was that guy that passed away? Tony. Did a lot of pastel work on his tanks. God, what was his last name? He had a lot of articles in Fine Scale Modeler back in the day. Tony Greenland. Grinning face with sweat emoji. But they were more reserved. Today, everyone thinks they're trying to be the next MIG. And it's another reason I don't go to my club anymore, is there's people showing up, especially around here. I don't know what it is with Utah, but they show up and they throw names around like we expect to know who they are. Or they show up and they even introduce themselves like we're supposed to know who they are. And I'm like... And I'm just sitting here thinking, who the fuck are you? What makes you speak like you got more eminence than anybody else in this room right now, you know? Maybe it's just me. I've gotten kind of an attitude lately when it comes to my hobby space and people who think that they're better than others at it, you know? I'm not better than any of you other guys out there. We all just have different ways of doing it. The quality of the work may vary between the person building it, but that's not a discredit to them. We all have different levels of what we do, how we do it, why we do it. But here, there just really seems to be an intoxically just shitty emphasis on the importance of a person's name when it comes to this stuff, and it just grinds my gears. I've never been able to afford the Tankograd books. I just use primeportal.net for my reference pictures. They're still updating. They're still taking pictures and contributions and stuff. You notice I'm just working this slowly because I really don't want to risk snapping the hood in half. And for a while, I almost got caught up in that whole popularity contest bullshit. And I'm like, come on guys, they're fucking plastic models. Is it a hobby? Yes. Can you get some form of notoriety about it? Sure. Yeah, if you like the same hobby, that's fine, but when you start to have personalities who seem to... Yeah, but the thing about here is, like I said, there seems to be a gravitation towards personalities in the hobby here, and like I said, I know it's everywhere, but it seems to be very rampant in Utah, especially. And it puts me off. I don't like being around it. So I use my scribing tool to get almost all the way through the plastic. If I go any deeper, the tip would widen out. So that's my scriber. If I went any deeper, the tip would widen out and it would start removing too much material. So I'm just kind of scoring the rest of the way through with the X-Acto knife. And we should be able to carefully... See, that's what I meant. I could have popped that hood right in half, right through there.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said that's what kind of puts me off a lot of YouTubers.
No, I get what you mean.
At Free Model Student 20 said I'm just happy to be able to show my progress in what I accomplished.
And that's all I really do, you know? I'm showing what I'm doing, how I do it. If you like the technique that I use, ask about it, and I'll backtrack and explain it as best I can. I know I'm probably pretty bad about that, too. But yeah, it's... I don't know, just... Everyone wants to be the next MIG. Everyone wants to be the next, you know, Mike Rinaldi. Now, granted, Mike Rinaldi's actually a great guy. I've talked to him. He's actually very down to earth. But it's the fanboyism that's behind these personalities that I just cannot abide. Come on, can we do this without destroying the hood? Can we do it? No, we can't. No, fudgesicles. Can we do it without slicing my thumb open? There. Haha! Files.
Some people should get themselves a regular job. No more influencers.
I have a regular job, so no, you're not going to get kicked out of here. But another thing I'd like to do, especially once I move, if things work out the way they do, is I want to start just going on little road trips with the Humvee, going to museums and hobby shops and other things, and see how that goes. Just doing like little travelogue things. I mean, would you watch a channel where a guy would drive his Humvee to the Evergreen Aviation Museum, where the Spruce Goose is? There you go. The Revell Man truck is an older kit. It's been around since the early 2000s, late 90s. Italerie's 1120 Hemet might be a combo work with Trumpeter. I'm not too sure. Send me a link on that. But that's what I want to do with it. And since I'd be up in Washington, I'd start up there. And if things work out, if people notice the channel and starts getting more support, go on longer and longer trips to different places, Eventually, get to the North Carolina with it. I've been on the North Carolina. Great battleship. I know Warduck lives around it. Great ship, but I haven't been to it since '93. Or go around and start meeting some of the other model builders and, you know, having little side things with them, especially if you guys also stream. Make our own little thing out of it, like a traveling community instead of an influencer type thing. I mean, obviously there would be some aspect to it that would fit with the influencer style, but without the stupidity and craziness. Like, you're not going to see me out there getting overactive and shit. Yeah, you wouldn't see me over-exaggerating and overacting on slight screw-ups. You know? Like, oh no, I'm running out of gas! Next gas station's 5 feet away. You know? I wouldn't be doing stupid shit like that. But it would just be more like, hey, we're gonna go and see the Spruce Goose, or we're gonna go and see this hobby shop up in... Well, there's not one in Spokane anymore, because that one's closing. Okay, I want to sand this, but I might start by shaving it down first. Yeah, let's shave it. Just gotta be careful, I don't... That's why I scribed around it a little bit, so I can make an alignment mark. But that's what I'm saying, is I could go out and, you know, meet up with Warduck. Or meet up with you, or meet up with Ares. You know, I don't know if there's a lot of Humvees rolling around Canada. You know, go to the Andy's Hobby headquarters building down in Phoenix. I've been to his original shop, but not his new warehouse. My dad used to be a frequent customer of his, too. Ah! But that's kind of the plan. And that's... If we're able to sell our house at the right time and buy one at the right time. Thing is, if things worked out right, I would find a way to get it over there. It wouldn't be it would be expensive as fuck, but I would find a way. Or I know somebody who is in the military vehicle market in the UK, and I could arrange to, you know, use a culturally appropriate Land Rover while I'm over there and maybe take that onto the mainland. Cruise through Europe in a Landy. Okay. Let's hope this has stayed flat enough. It did. Alright. I think that's why I wanted to do this today, though, is it's more brainless. I've driven a Humber Pig before. Not far, but I drove it. Guy got it stuck. Hey, Uther, you're welcome. That's another reason I'm doing this, is a lot of people only concentrate on the new kits by Border and Meng and other companies, and other models out there are still worth building, guys. They don't have to be top of the line. There's ways to make them better, there's ways to make them yours, you know. And if you look around, right, they're still affordable. Hell, I've got it in my wish list. There's a Sergeant York at a very affordable price that I may splurge. You know, after I get my Humvee payment for the week out into my savings account, I might splurge a little and get a Sergeant York because it's the funny porta potty killer. Come on.
And they don't exist anymore. So look out.
What don't exist anymore? Sorry, I know there's a delay. If you're talking about Sergeant Yorks, I know where there's no, if you're talking about the Sergeant York, there's 3 of them about 2 hours from my house. Just because they're out of production, 1, doesn't necessarily mean they're rare, and 2, doesn't mean you can't get them.
I'm glad I bought what I did when I did. Kit prices are getting unruly.
They are. They're starting to. I've got a few on my watch list I plan on splurging on. I know I talked about getting the 2-seat A10 because I do want to demonstrate the way that I do post-shading and pre-shading and all that. And it's a good singular color aircraft. Wow, I'm not even working in front of the camera. It's a singular color aircraft which would allow it to show very well. But at the same time, $68 is almost one of my Humvee allotment payments. There we go. Now we're getting it. Now we're getting it. So I'm just trying to take the molded edge of that grill down flush with the rest of the hood. As much as I can without snapping this bar here, anyway. Because while this should be recessed down flush with the top, I'm not going to be able to effectively do that with my skill level. Not safely, anyway, because like I said, I'd have a hair-thin lip right through here. Is it their new tool C-Vixen or their old tool C-Vixen? Their new tool stuff? Yeah, hella expensive. They want $60 for the Stolly, the new Stalwart. I'd really love to build one, but I'm not paying that much for it. Because it's kind of like with Games Workshop. The plastic does not. The plastic is not worth that much. Academy A10C. Don't screw around with Hobby Boss, don't screw around with Tamiya. The Academy A10C. Great kit. Everybody who's built it says it's just right out of the box if you're not too much of a rivet counter, which I know you're not. So just get the Academy A10C, you'll be happy. And that's what I think is funny, because at the same time everyone's bemoaning the female Space Marine thing, everybody's testosterone boosting Space Marine 2. And it's like, wait a minute, which one is it, guys? Are you going to shit on them, or are you going to play their game?
At 3 Model Student 20 said I have the okie dokie done.
Okie dokie done. What? What? Huh? I may have curved that a bit too much. But that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Perfect. And then we'll do the blend in with the Mr. Surfacer again. Actually, no, we won't. But I do want to polish that hood up more. I think Aries built the A10C, or he's got it in his stash, one or the other. I never had the pleasure of... Yeah. Have you built it, or do you just have it waiting on building it? Well, if you got a link to it on Instagram, share it. I've got some Depeche Mode CDs. I meant for the guys here. Throw something up in chat. You guys can share your work on here if you like. Okay, let me see something. I thought that's where they were. Okay. I've got enough hobbies, so I don't need to get into another one. I'm not... Nope, staying away from record collecting. Okay, gonna try and run a thin bead of super glue just around the inside edge. It's another reason I made that scribe line, is it allows me to see the outer edge of the Photoetch. I have Discord. I just never use it. I seriously never check in on it. I'm hardly ever on it unless I'm talking to Aries about something. That's about it. God, could you imagine all of us in a chat right now? Yeah, that went on crooked. Damn it, stop it. Why don't you want to go down straight? There. Yeah, we might do a little Mr. Surfacer work anyway, just to make it all feel a bit more coherent. I want to get the front grille on first, since that's going to need it too. And I'm going to have to source some mesh for behind this. I know we're not doing a lot right now, but we are making forward progress on this. Nose tickle. No, you're not wrong, Leo. I've run into that too. It's like, there we go. Yeah, if you guys want to share your model work or whatever, collection stuff, just keep it polite, you know, keep it... Let me see. Ah, it is. Oh, jeez. But yeah, there's a lot that hinges on me making the traveling Humvee idea work. It's not an impossibility, but there's a couple other things that have to happen right. But either way, I want the vehicle. Drop. Hey, Davos. But, no, everybody here, y'all have a pretty decent, you know, grasp on how big something like a PBY Catalina is. Why do you hate the F-111? What, the Humvees? That's your typical Humvee suspension right there. Coil over shock absorber. Double wishbone. No, 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 no. The F-111 was supposed to be a fleet interceptor. They found it was too heavy for aircraft carriers because, you know, if it wasn't for the F-111, we wouldn't have the F-14. Because the F-111 was undergoing carrier trials. They found out it was smashing its landing gear because it was too heavy. So they gave it to the Air Force. Said, here you go. And then said, we still need a fleet interceptor. So they made the F-14. And meanwhile, the F-111 was, you know, doing its thing in the Air Force, bombing stuff in Vietnam, the usual. The TSR-2 along with the Avro Arrow, were canceled because of the F-104. That's why everybody and their mother flew the F-104 for the longest time. Not too many countries flew the F-111. I think the Tornado played more into the cancellation of that than the 111. And my brother's trying to build one based on the picture where they, for the short time the 111 had the outboard pylon stations, they loaded them all up with Mark 82s on multiple ejector racks, and I tried telling him that's actually not a real loadout, and he can't figure out why the parts aren't in the kits for them, because they stopped loading on those stations after a short time. You build what you like. So like I said, I think those projects and the interference with the F-104 have a lot more to do with the cancellation of the TSR-2 than the F-111 did. Okay. I know that's ugly as sin. A lot of that'll get removed anyway. So it's Mr. Surfacer, and it is a mild. It's essentially thinned putty. It's a high build primer for scale models. What I'm using it for is fine gap filling and seam filling where putty is too aggressive. So on this, just to blend in that edge a bit better, so it seems more like a contiguous part, I brush it on, sand off the excess obviously, and then use a Q-tip soaked in thinner to remove the excess and blend it out. I did that on the tailgate when I glued the plate on, so when I paint it, the plate will seem more like a part of the plastic and not a glued on part, because it fills in that edge around it. And then here, there's a couple sink marks and low points. These will be visible. So I sanded down the high points and then put the Mr. Surfacer on, and I'm going to sand that out. Yeah, I'd always heard the TSR and the Arrow, the Canadian Avro Arrow, were in production conjunctly. They were kind of part of the same program. And this is putty because I needed something thicker to feather this in. So let's see how this works. But the Mr. Surfacer works when you don't need a lot of material, but you have something that needs to be filled and blended. So once I get this sanded down, I'm going to put some Surfacer over it just to check how well it blended and add more. Just being careful not to hit this piece up here, because I don't want to remove the plastic that's sticking through. But they were supposed to work together, I thought. Just the way they were being designed. They shared a lot of commonality, it felt like. Alright. So... Alright, let's put some... Let's get this one sanded, then we'll put some surfacer on both of them. They make surfacer in the spray can, too. I'm using the 500 grain. They make 1000 and 1200 for like super smooth finish work. But I've shot 500 through my airbrush before and had it come out good and smooth.
Said, yeah, I think that came down to just the engineers for the project being used in previous programs.
Yeah, you know, like the V1 and V2 programs. They removed from those. Oh wait, that was NASA. Never mind. In fact, I know how I could test out the hobby Humvee or the traveling Humvee idea once I get it. Wendover Airfield's 90 minutes from here. I don't know if I'd be allowed to do that, but there's things to do out there. Plus, not to mention all the abandoned mines and ghost towns and other things.
At the model student 20 said I haven't airbrushed it yet. What Vince missed. I have the Mr. Color 250.
Is that a lacquer thinner? The key thing on this is to make sure you got your mix right, because if you have it too thick, it'll do what's known as spider webbing, and it'll spit out of the airbrush all stringy. Maybe I should have titled this Extreme Humvee Detailing with an X in the title. You know, because I need to be edgier. Do I need to be edgier, guys? Actually, I'm gonna brush this stuff on instead. I've got some pre-thin stuff I use for airbrushing and other things. Ah. But you see I've got this kind of like 1% skim. That's about how you need it when you airbrush it.
At the model student 20 said yes lacquer, that would be a cool trip for us who have never been.
Let's put some primer on here too, just to see how it looks all one color. Yeah, so far it looks like no rain on Halloween this year. Last year we had a downpour. And that's this Friday, too. And it looks like I'm putting it on heavy. This stuff will dry really thin because of the way I've got it thinned out. It's more carrier than it is actual Mr. Surfacer. That's damn near perfect. Nothing a little bit of dirt and dust can't hide. No worries. Yeah, I'll definitely be on Friday. I just felt like being on today too. I told you guys I'd try and be on in the week as well. Actually, I can put some of this on here too. There's an alley hair there. That cat. Yeah, that's gonna look great. Alright. Cool. So, 4 bits of Photoetch and a resin piece are what we've done in the past hour and 42 minutes. Later, Davos. Building what? Sorry. There's 3 different conversations going here. Ow, 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 ow. Oh yeah. The thing is, it's been good progress. It's not just like I've been sitting here BSing, which I have been. But I've been making forward progress as well. This is still a little gummy. I put this on kind of thick. I might have to let that set overnight. But yeah, I'm happy with those. Now here I'm just being very careful. I've got the folded edge almost right up against that raised detail edge on the bed there. You could almost consider this stuff scale Bondo. You can see how much is left in the recess there. I mean, obviously that's what putty is as well, but that's just still a bit rough. This is a bit more precise, where puttying is like using a hammer. This is like using a tack hammer. Oh jeez. I'm a bad influence. Next time you feel like spending that much money, just send it to me. Send it here. You've got enough kits. Yeah, that's something I gotta get soon. I know I'm at least gonna order the wheels for the Bushmaster and the Bronco 1114 tomorrow. Because every one of these I've done so far, I've had, you know, a door open or the back hatch. You know, just a little something for a peek inside. The Bronco one, has everything.
A cooling face with sweat emoji, thumbs up emoji.
It's got damn near total interior, but it's also got the engine bay. So that's what I really want to do on one of the later versions. I'd like to do one with the hood forward and all that.
And you said my saucy.
Maybe add a little wiring detail to the engine bay based on pictures. Because it's basically just a plate with some glue on details. There's always room for improvement on that. Okay. We're going to glue these together. Get the back on. And then that way we can get the ribbing plates installed. And as always, if you'd like to support the channel, on Twitch and Kick, we're set up for donations there. And subscriptions, so if you want to have that. YouTube we're still working on. We still need at least 3,000 hours total view time. Not mandatory, but greatly appreciated. Helps fund stuff like this. And other projects. I really need to make a channel shirt or something, though. I don't even have a logo. Model Student's got a logo. I don't know. I don't have a logo.
Leo2A7DK said I am still running in the background. At Model Student 20 asks, is that the brown part in 1114?
Yes. I'll be jumping on eBay tomorrow night and grabbing that. And that'll probably be March's Humvee. The rate we're going. I'm just trying to find unique ones still without having to buy a ton of aftermarket yet.
At Model Student 20 said I just made it up myself and got local shirt guy.
I know, I need to unfuck myself and get to designing it, I guess. I've got the ability, I'm lazy. We're all lazy about something, right? Sanding the top of this, there's some burry bits on there. There. I have an idea for kind of a logo or a shirt in the same kind of vein as the Tamiya instructions. Look at the Bushmaster instructions, right? Some of the older kits Tamiya did. They had little characters building the model, but to them the model was 1-to-1 scale. And I was thinking something reminiscent of that for a logo or a shirt. We might need tape. We need tape. See, this is a problem I had with these as a kid, and I never had the patience to get them to line up well. That's how old this kit is. I built it... God, I built this shit when I was fucking 12. This same kit. Not the Stinger version, but... Wow. I feel old, guys. But, yeah, part of what they included was a new passenger seat with the correct lower compartment for the batteries. New seat back there. I just zapped my brain and made myself feel old, guys. That's set up. At least Aries wasn't in here to go, "You are old," you know, because I don't need that much of a reminder.
Leo2A7DK said you have never been 12, nor have I. Smile.
Yeah, I stopped aging mentally at 10, you're right. So this piece...
At the Models 2 said I know the plan.
But maybe that's also a testament to how decently these kits were designed. Because we can still get them now. Aries Humvees are still out there available. The only change they've made is they've retooled it, and they're selling it with Academy-style rubber tires. Okay, yep, that's me touching the super glue. You're probably wondering how I ended up here. Oh, you bugger. Go to your hole. It's showing me installing this after assembly, so that's when I'm installing it. Haha! I win! Maybe. Yeah, this was the first edition of the tooling, and then it was updated to reflect the more modern details that are on it. Probably the same molds, to be honest. Just some changes made. And now they've updated it again with the rubber tires. So there's a more modern boxing that's tan.
At the Models 2 said the 3
I am invincible! Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one the winch front end. I hope Friday... I'm going to try and be on earlier again like I was Sunday. I like how that went. It also helped my day feel like it lasted a bit longer, since I was able to end the stream at an earlier time and get more done in the afternoon, so win-win for us there. Sunday, I don't know if I'll be on. It's going to be kind of a busy day. If I am, it probably won't be until much, much later. If I'm on at all. So we might write Sunday off. Okay, those drop in perfectly. They sit a little high, but that's okay. We can file those down. Or we can leave it and then cover it with stowage. Either way, I'm fine with that. So, you see me putting a lot of... It looks like I'm putting a lot of super glue on. I'm not. I'm just slathering it around.
At the model student 20 said I'll be back. Smiling face with sunglasses emoji.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Yeah, so far I'm having fun with this. This is not as tedious as I remember a lot of Verlinden stuff being, so that's a good thing. But we're probably also going to stop soon, because I have to go figure out what's going on for dinner. And the parts are a bit more stout than I recall. I remember Verlinden used to be kind of on the thin side when it came to their Photoetch. A little bit of accelerator just to get them locked in. Then I need to put some surfacer around here because there is a seam there that needs to be filled and addressed. Actually, let me... God, that's another reason I wish I had a real one. I could just walk out to my garage and look. That's the picture I needed. Almost. I need one without the stake bed on, please. Yeah, whatever. I'll file that down. That looks a bit weird sticking up like that. That's going to be slow going. Yeah, didn't he do like a 16th or a 15th scale M113 in resin? So the reason I'm filing that like that is, if you look, the Photoetch is slightly proud, just not designed very well. This is what people mean when they talk about fit issues with Verlinden stuff. And it's not anything because of construction, because this is one solid molded piece. But this is 90s aftermarket for you. Meanwhile, I'm ripping it off the model. Thing is, those big Verlinden models are the ones you always heard about, but you never saw anyone actually build one, like at a show or in a magazine. Hey, Robert. Just like Verlinden had that, it was like a 15th scale Stug 3. Yeah, there's a whole series of ones in that scale that were supposedly made, but you never saw them. I'm gonna have to re-glue that. I slightly peeled it. That's fine. It's fine. It'll buff out. It's fine. Yeah, that's... No, you're not wrong. They had some proportion issues. Just like a lot of his figures did. But you know, the one figure set that Verlinden made that everybody had to have back then, especially if they were doing a Vietnam setting diorama. The naked girl in the bathtub. I'd really like to know how many sets of molds they went through on that figure.
V207DK said he made his career.
Yeah. Too bad the company's pretty much defunct. They closed down. They destroyed most of the molds, from what I understand. There's some of the masters survived, but a lot of them got trashed. It's a shame, really. But between all the recasting of his stuff, and then other companies like Kirin, and even Dragon to a degree coming up with their own stuff. Dragon didn't do so much in the aftermarket, but even back in the 90s, they were making plastic figure kits that rivaled Verlinden in a lot of ways on detail. And once Dragon unlocked that little box, you weren't putting that genie back in there. You know, when you compare Dragon's 90s figures, even the early 2000s and stuff they make now, to early Tamiya looks like they were sculpted by a guy who had an idea of what a human looked like, but all he had was a dull stick and a pat of butter to make the masters out of, you know. Like, you go look at some of the figures that came with Tamiya kits, even in the 90s. Even their Vietnam stuff. They're bad. They're, like, really bad, man. Well, any of their Vietnam sets. One kit I would love to get my hands on again if I could is the Vietnam era Little Bird they did. That came with the door gunners and the pilots and all that. That was a great kit. I remember building that when it first came out, and it was like $15 too when it was new. Why do I get the feeling model students writing a lot of these kits down and looking for them, trying to keep up? Yeah, I need to put some surfacer on there just to see how much further I need to go to make it level. I'm trying to do it without removing that edge. If I have to, I will, and just add that. There's like a thin edge on here. I could add that back on with strip styrene. Don't want to, but if I have to. If I have to, I will. Just covering all the seams. And with the music ending, we're probably going to wrap up here too. That was a good just over 2 hours. Like I said, we made a lot of good progress on this. We're on the right track to making it more visually correct, but not perfect. I really like what the Photoetch does back here, though. So, while I'm cleaning the brush out, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks again to Alex for his kind donation. And with that, we may actually order... No, I'm going to save it. We'll get the wheels ordered tomorrow after I see how much I can put aside for the 1-to-1 scale Humvee. Because I'll be able to do an extra large payment this week. If someone were to come up and offer me $8,000 for it right now, let me show you. This is down in Price, Utah, and this is why I'm on the fence. Because this is the third option. There was always get it at auction, just keep saving, get it at auction, right? And then this showed up. It's like an hour and a half away. Fully outfitted, mint condition, 1995. 4-door, soft top, complete. It's got a previous owner. That's okay. It means all the problems have been gone through. It's been properly fixed. So if someone were to come up and offer me $8,000 for my Camaro right now, I'd take it. No, I'm still gonna keep it for now. I'm not gonna cut off my nose to spite my face in that regard, because I still need a vehicle right now. But yeah, if someone were to just come up and offer me that, I'd take it and say bye. Because that, combined with what I've got saved, would take care of it. But at the same time, don't want to let impatience get the better of me. Okay, got that glued there. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll be on Friday, hopefully early like we were on Sunday, so expect it more around 10 a.m. my time. It's 6:36 p.m. my time right now, if you want to set your clockulators. Yeah, Figure Friday is going to be this character, though. So she should be interesting. Full-on vest and gear and helmet and all that wonderful jazz. I almost wanted to reprint her in 200 scale or 200% just to make her bigger and more impressive looking. But that's where we are with her. But thanks again to everybody, and yeah, I'll see you Friday. Take it easy, have a good evening.